we'll, of course, be talking about Mallory McMorrow, who apparently is talking about me, your boy. I did an interview with Detroit Public Radio. They asked me to do it. I was like, you know what? Of course I'll do it. Turns out it paid dividends. It turns out it backfired on me a little bit because it caused Mallory McMorrow, Abdul El-Syed's opponent in the Senate run in the Democratic primary, to straight up say heinous things about me. That was wild. She just straight up was like, Hasan and Abdul, Muslims, synagogue attack, also done by a Muslim. I rest my case. Shit was wild. It's wild to unfold. It's wild to watch because, like, I'm expecting that from Republicans, but I'm not. I still get shocked a little bit when I see like a relatively progressive white woman who's like presenting herself as a progressive going on CNN and being like, well, you know, my opponent, his name is Abdul El-Syed. His friend's name is Hassan Piker. You know, both Muslims. Put two and two together, ma'am. And it's like, okay, that's just a very strange thing. Love the racist liberals optics argument. Lamau, what will the racist think? I mean, the thing is, if you're a Republican and you're hitting that line, well, you shouldn't probably do that in Michigan regardless, but like, if you're a Republican and you're hitting that line, it's expected. But if you're a Democrat, and not just like any kind of Democrat, but a Democrat that's trying to like make herself be known as like somewhat of a more appropriate, more acceptable progressive in the progressive lane in the Democratic primary, that's a landmine you're stepping on for no reason. You're polluting the airwaves. You're making things worse for yourself. It's just strange choice. It's very bad instincts. I say this as someone who obviously eats it quite a bit. I say this as someone who's used to, being called a terrorist. It's all I get called, honestly. But it's strange to watch her in this like panic state and all this desperation, double down, triple down. When the question presented to her was, don't you think it backfired on you that you just like decided to smear your opponent's ally as a terrorist? And yeah, if you're black or brown, like they talk this way about Muslims, they're talking this way about you too behind closed doors. Maybe they're not saying it. Maybe they're not saying it out loud in public, right? They're not going to say that about black people on CNN, but they're certainly thinking it. There's no shot, She says she stands on racially motivated business. Yeah. So yeah, let's start there. So there's some good Abdul news. Oh my God. This is my most autistic chatter, by the way. Like straight up, Zioan's the most autistic chatter. Like since yesterday, spamming this train clip over and over again. Like I'm probably not going to get to that right now. Okay. Take a second off. God damn. I literally gave you a verbal warning yesterday. I was like, I'm probably not going to look at that clip today. Like there's a lot going on. And then now you're like, you have to do it today now. Went to the DSA orientation yesterday and literally everyone in the breakout room I was in was a Hasanabi head. Kind of awesome. It's the least surprising turn of events. What do you think? This has been you don't say. I mean, I'm not officially, I'm not a member. I'm just, I'm an independent content creator. So it's just, when you say stuff like that, it's shocking to me. Yeah, go back to the last decade and you'll see that experience play itself out for the last decade or so. Yeah, 2,000 new members for the DSA. We got to get those numbers up. It's not high enough. Okay, I think it's at like 100,000 plus at this point. We got to get the Democratic Socialists of America to like 200,000 members, 250,000 members. You know what I mean? Do you censor all your chatters or just one with autism? No, just the autistic ones. We all hate a mirror shining back at us, Additional data from the New York Times Vote Hub confirms. Yeah, we're going to be talking about this. We're going to be talking about Michelangelo's analysis. But new attack ad featuring you. The socialist wave has hit Michigan and the stakes have never been higher. Abdul El-Syed is dangerous, extreme, and has no place in the Senate.
Meet Abdul El-Syed.
I'm the worst on the stage you said, and have the courage to say that we got apologize.
And that's not all. Abdul campaigned with anti-Israel radical Hassan Piker. He called to abolish private health insurance, and he's championing socialist tax hikes with Senator Bernie Sanders.
That's why we need Dr. Abdul El-Syed in the Senate.
I like that they're just like they've just given up on trying to even disparage these objectively popular policies. And they're like, Abdul El-Syed, wants you to have a puppy. If you like dogs, if you like cats, he wants you to have a kitten. And it's like, what? No. What do you mean? I don't know if I can take care of a cat or a dog. It's too much responsibility. Abdul El-Syed wants your steak to be juicy. Abdul El-Syed wants your lobster to be buttery. Abdul El-Syed wants your weed to be loud. No, I hate these things. I suck shit and I only deserve less. They said he wants to they said Abdul El-Syed campaigns with radical anti-Israel content creator Hasan. Okay. Wow. Radical anti-Israel guy. It's terrifying. Abdul El-Syed wants to tax the wealthy and he wants Medicare for all. Dude, who is going to look at this attack ad and be like, this is fucked up. I can't vote for this guy.
Radical for Michigan. Too radical for the U.S. Senate. Reject Abdul El-Syed.
This is awesome.
Meet Abdul El-Syed.
I'm going to run it again.
I know what's on the stage be said, and have the courts to say that we gotta apologize.
And that's not all. Abdul campaigned with anti-Israel radical Hasan Piker. He called to abolish private health insurance.
By the way, he campaigned with radical Hasan Piker. So awesome, bro. They think maybe if they keep hitting this line over and over again, eventually people will be like, yeah, you know what? This Hasan guy is radical. But like there are a couple things that I think I do very well. Okay, where like my worldview might be considered radical by those in positions of power, but my positions are not radical amongst the working class, right? They're not at all. They're just like the center, if anything. And a lot of these guys end up showing their perspective, that their perspective is like unbelievably out of touch. They forgot the 80,000 laughing emojis of boomers on Facebook during the alleged Luigi moment. Exactly. And also outside of that, when you keep trying to say I'm like a radical jihadist terrorist or whatever, and then people actually encounter me in like a New York Times article or, you know, on the red carpet at like a Vanity Fair Oscars party or something, they go, this is the fucking radical guy. What are you talking about? Like every single thing that ultras yell at me about because I'm not Malcolm X is exactly the reason why the average Barbas and the Debras look to what I'm saying and doing and go, yeah, actually, I kind of agree with this guy. Sure, he might be a little loud. He might be a little bold. He might be a little rude at times. But overall, he's like, and for the record, I love Malcolm X. It would, you know, that's not, you know, that's besides the point. I'm not saying he was scary and wrong or bad. I think he was awesome and always on the right side. It's just, it's a little tough to present me as someone who is like an armed revolutionary when I'm a Twitch streamer and do actually have one leg in, you know, polite these polite company circumstances, if that makes sense. Why don't you go on the Joe Rogan pod? Joe Rogan will never have me on the podcast, even though, as you guys know, I'm the #1 fan of Joe Rogan. This is my mug to prove it. I'm literally drinking out of a mug. There's a Maylot. Diane DeGette. Maylot Quiros blames America for 9/11. Wait, what?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East.
Maylot Quiros, everybody.
Oh.
Welcome to the broadcast.
America deserved 9/11, dude. I'm saying it. Like, we fucking totally brought it.
This is so funny. Dude, running this in Denver, the youngest constituency in the country, is so funny because this literally also hits in every other place. You play this, it's going to fail regardless. I can't think of a single I cannot think of a single fucking district where this actually works. Andrew Cuomo tried it. Mallory McMorrow tried it. So many people have tried it, right? They keep trying it over and over again. They played it in New York City. It didn't work. New York City is where 9/11 happened, and it didn't work. I heard from people, I have from canvassers that were running around Daria Lisa's district, and Espaillat had some ground game that was trying to tell the black aunties in Harlem about how Daria Lisa is scary and dangerous because she was associated with a streamer whose name is Hasan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. And the aunties were like, what the fuck are you saying? They were like, I don't stop. Straight up, they were like, I don't know what you're saying. Get away from me. It's just so stupid. It's such a stupid attack line. And it's awesome because like it reeks of desperation. It reeks of desperation. And also nothing Mayla said is wrong there.
Stuff.
She says she doesn't agree with my Hamas. Of course, she's running for Congress. One day, everyone will, like, the way that history books will reflect on these issues will have a very different perspective on the matter. But right now, that's not the day, okay? It'll happen. One day, everyone will have been against this and all that stuff you already know, but, you know. Anyway, so we're talking about, fuck, I just jumped over to Malak Kiros. I was going to do the Abdul El-Syed thing. We'll get to Malak Kiros in a second. Okay, we'll get to Malak Kiros in a second. So, wow, I can't believe Abdul is pro-Palestine, in favor of abolishing ICE, pro-Medicare for all, pro-billionaire tax, pro-taxing the wealthy, and in favor of abolishing ICE. How is this yeah. Mitch Voter said this about Daria Liza. Mitch Voter has come such a fucking long way.
Meet Abdul.
Yeah. They keep trying to do the 2016 Trump type attacks, even though that was an abysmal failure. Yeah. No, the right-wing Republicans have no answer for any of these policies. If you're running on a policy-first platform instead of like any of this other like random spiritual shit, you know, Republicans have no answer. And their attack ads turn into promotion. This is one of those instances where like this attack ad reads like promotional material. Like Abdul El-Syed is Abdul El-Syed is not Israel first. Wow, that's devastating. I'm sure people in fucking Michigan are terrified. People in Michigan are demanding an Israel first candidate. That's what they were looking for. They're really, really shocked that Abdul is not Israel first. It's crazy. And then outside of that, he wants to take all of the additional funds that we're wasting on Israel and spend it on ourselves instead. Yeah, as absentee ballots are going out today, it's pretty funny to see this being like the big attack ad initially. 49% of Michiganders undecided with the absentee ballots going out today. Maybe McMorrow voters are abandoning her late and weighing their options. Weird poll, but the top line tracks recent surveys. El-Syed leads, with Stevens not far behind, right? Candidate preferences at El-Syed 22%, Haley Stevens at 20%, McMorrow at 9%. So what is McMorrow doing? What is Mallory McMorrow doing to make up for this, right? What is she doing to make up for this disparity? Well, it turns out she's hitting the same lines that she did already. There's pressure now coming in the direction of Mallory McMorrow to drop out. I don't think she should. She's my queen. And as my queen, we need to hear from swagged out and maybe a little quirked up, kind of pro-Israel, kind of ambiguously not pro-Israel voices that could potentially eat away from the Haley Stevens base. Okay? Yeah, I know we got Haley Stevens. We got the Haley Stevens the situation too. It's really funny. It's really funny. We're going to get to all of that. But first, let's start with hearing from female voices in Congress, okay? Voices that are running for office here. Let's take a look.
He's been endorsed by Hasan Piker, who has millions of followers on social media, mainly people under the age of 30. I mention this because he is a very controversial figure. And in March, you compared him to white supremacist Nick Fuentes. Now, Piker spoke to Detroit Public Radio about that yesterday.
So people can come to me directly and figure out what I'm actually about. So that was one of the reasons why that smear campaign failed spectacularly. People started looking at Abdul's campaign. People started hearing what he was saying, and they liked it. And lo and behold, he was in third place before this smear campaign started, and now he's comfortably in first place.
My opponent made a decision to bring in Hasan shortly after there was an attack on a synagogue here in Michigan where a man drove.
This is one of the most, look, I'm going to repeat this one more time. Tying me to an anti-Semitic hate crime is one of the more insane things I've heard from like who is otherwise supposed to be like a progressive Democrat. Okay. Notice how she's trying to get the attention of her producer.
Pickup truck into a synagogue where 140 preschoolers were at school that day. And had it not been for the security measures, the bollards in place, it could have been the largest.
Wait, why does she wave to her producer? She's like, get me off camera. This is crazy. She's like, I don't want to be a part of this. She's talking like a Klansman. She's like, this could be a lawsuit style situation. Can you please get me off camera?
At school that day. And had it not been for the security measures, the bollards in place, it could have been the largest mass killing of kids in this country's history. And to bring somebody in to represent your campaign, in my mind, is a very different decision than going on somebody's stream and talking to their audience.
Why? What do I have to do with... McMorrow also later said you're not anti-Semitic after saying you were the Nick Fuentes of the left. No real convictions, total fraud. Yeah, that's what's so funny. Here's what's so funny about these people that are trying to find like a moderate lane, a moderate progressive lane, right? They can't even get on board with a smear campaign. They can't even do that appropriately. Like, pick a side. If you're going to go unhinged with it, you on the one hand can't imply that I am responsible for an anti-Semitic hate crime at a synagogue. And then also on the other hand, turn around and be like, but he's not racist. Like, if you're going to lie in one direction. They're so wishy-washy. They can't even fucking do the lie appropriately. It blows my fucking mind. I will say, though, I expect stuff like this from Haley Stevens. Maybe I'm too naive, but I did not expect this level of racial agitation from Mallory McMorrow, once again, who is like trying to occupy the relatively somewhat more progressive, but not super progressive lane. And I don't even think she knows what she's doing. I think she doesn't realize how fucking racist this comes across as, because Islamophobia is so super normalized. Producer legit said cut her off. Then she points going, no, I'll let her finish her point. Source, background in live TV.
I believe in freedom of speech. People should be able to say and do whatever they want. But we have a very diverse population here in Michigan. We have the largest Arab American population in the country alongside a very significant Jewish population. And we need to keep everybody together, not just to win, but to govern and to represent this state appropriately.
Hearing reporting about you having very soft numbers with black voters,
Yeah, I wonder why. I mean, this kind of plays into that, no? Obviously, there's like, Abdul's doing fairly well with black voters in Michigan. Understandable. But then also Haley Stevens benefits from the machine, the turnout machine that the Democrats are kind of turning on in her favor. But even then, Abdul's doing, I think, better than Haley Stevens is, right? The reason why Mallory McMorrow has found herself in the Pete Buttigieg slot is because she does stuff like this. Like, there is a lot. The way people talk about black people in mainstream media as like a reliable voting bloc, and what black people actually believe are two entirely different universes. Okay, at least in my experience, I know it's somewhat anecdotal, but also black people are polled on this stuff all the goddamn time. When you go down to issue specific percentages, like, black people are always more woke than the rest of the country on every issue. So I don't even understand why there is this weird attitude in mainstream media to present black people as this like monolithic voting bloc that's like incredibly conservative. There has never been a single instance where black people were not overwhelmingly way more woke, which they invented, by the way. Okay. But overwhelmingly more progressive than the mean, than the average. It's so strange. Like, black people on the issue of immigration, there is this like concerted effort to make it seem like black people in the United States of America don't fuck with the migrants or whatever. And there's always this like destabilization. They're trying to foment some kind of like racial animus where no such racialized animus exists, right? And there's good reason for it, obviously, because, you know, white supremacy is a fairly powerful force, if not the most powerful force in American politics, even to this day. And Guess who understands that force better than anybody else? Black people do, right? Anti-black racism is one of the most potent forces in American politics. So, of course, they're not going to fall for all this like stupid shit about how, you know, there are all this stupid shit about how, like, you know, immigrants are coming to take black people's jobs or whatever. Also, there's a real crisis with black immigrants too. We're going to talk about that later. The Supreme Court of the United States of America just revoked temporary protected status visas of 350,000 Haitians, advancing the whole Haitians eat cats and dogs nonsense, like that racist ass bullshit that the Trump administration, or the Trump campaign rather, was advancing in the electoral run. So, you know who understands that kind of racism? Black people do. J.D. Vance openly said he lied about that. So yeah, from where I'm standing, like this idea that, I mean, going back to like why she's performing poorly with black voters in Michigan is because I think the inauthenticity is palpable. People can smell it. So she's found herself in the Pete Buttigieg zone.
You have very low numbers overall, and the chatter is growing louder that you should drop out, that you are a spoiler candidate. Will you drop out?
Here's what I can tell you. We are being presented right now with what I believe is a false binary choice, that either we have to accept the status quo in Haley Stevens, a member of Congress who's taken tens of thousands of dollars in corporate PAC donations, who hasn't done any public events.
Hype Train level 2, by the way, and it's 35% off. 5+ gifted subs. We're at 48 seconds remaining. We can carry the flame twice in a row and so close to one another. Subscribe to the People's Broadcasting Service, public broadcasting service, only sponsored by you, the people, for you, the people. Support independent media by subscribing for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime, and I will carry the flame again. You missed the level 6 hype train while you were blasting off? Oh, damn, we're cooking. How about some tacos? Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. And Turbulent Pancakes, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Jay Lee, thank you for the 5. Jean, thank you for the 10.
With people, she's not taking tough questions.
But she has been on debates and on the debate stage. So people have been able to look at the three of you side by side. And right now, you're the one coming up short.
Certainly, I hear you. And on the other side, we've got a candidate who has never won a campaign before. In the last quarter, I outraised the Congresswoman by $1 million with no corporate PAC donations. I've got more grassroots support than my opponents combined. We are out there every single day with our message that we don't have to accept an either or.
By the way, going back to the Pete Buttigieg method, level 5 hype train, by the way, it is Liz Smith. Liz Smith is one of her advisors, and Liz Smith famously was Pete Buttigieg's advisor as well. So that's also interesting.
I am the only candidate in the race who's won tough elections. I helped flip the entire state Senate to Democrats for the first time in 40 years. And as majority whip, I've delivered on healthcare, housing, civil rights, voting rights, you name it. We've done it. So,
yeah, I mean, this is like a insanely racist attack for the record. Like it's just terror jacketing. It's fairly Islamophobic to be like, well, Abdul, Muslim guy. Also Hasan, another Muslim guy. Scary. Don't you feel like they might have been responsible for this synagogue attack? If you squint at it from far enough, doesn't it feel like they were responsible for this? So I said, yeah. So if you're horrified by the U.S. munitions being used to murder children in Gaza, Mallory McMorrow thinks you're responsible for attacks against synagogues. How is this any different than what MAGA says about us? And it's ironic because the question presented to her quite literally was, don't you feel like your attacks against Hasan Piker and Abdul El-Syed backfired on you and it caused your campaign's approval to straightforwardly collapse? I've never seen such a clear-cut example of a campaign. I never thought that I would see such a clear-cut example of a campaign collapsing after trying this panicked attack. And what's so crazy is, like, she's doing a double down here, but she's also, again, wishy-washy on it too. Mallory McMorrow says the song gets dangerously close to anti-Semitism, claiming he's uninformed, and a lot of what he says is really hurtful to her family. No actual quotes or evidence from Hasan was provided with this claim. You know, this is for the Jewish Insider. I don't think that he is. Asked whether she believes Hasan Piker to be anti-Semitic, Mallory McMorrow said no, but added that it almost doesn't matter. Yeah, you can't. Here's the problem. And this is something that I was addressing in that Detroit Public Radio broadcast. if I was a college campus activist and I did not have my platform, if I did not have this platform that is large enough, that is competitive with other media platforms, with mainstream media outlets, she would be able to get away with smearing me like this. If I was a college campus activist, as many college campus activists were smeared in mainstream media, they could just go, yeah, this guy is crazy. Look at what he said. Look at his choice quotes. But because I'm in the media myself, I am a media figure myself, you can arrive at your own conclusions by looking at my background, looking at my history, looking at what I've said on this issue. And it's a really tough hill to climb if your job is to be like, well, this guy's a dangerous anti-Semite. And then people can actually see what I've done in this space. They can see the hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours I have poured into specifically combating anti-Semitism. It looks ridiculous, you know? And it's extra ridiculous because this is an issue that you are unnecessarily drawing attention to that is 90-10. When your opposition is saying, you know, Israel's doing war crimes, Israel's doing a genocide, we got to stop, you know, we got to hold Israel accountable, we got to stop funding Israel's war crimes, and we should fund, you know, Medicare for all instead. You are unnecessarily drawing attention to your lackluster approach to this issue that is a phenomenal litmus test for a lot of people. Yeah. She said I was similar to Nick Fuentes and then turned around and said, actually, he's not anti-Semitic. Like, and I get close. It's like Nick Fuentes is a Holocaust denier who openly loves Adolf Hitler. Nick Fuentes is a Holocaust denier or even a Holocaust enjoyer. Okay. You can't on the one hand say like, oh, this person is dangerously close to Nick Fuentes, and then turn around and be like, but he's not anti-Semitic. Like, what are you talking about? What am I close to Nick Fuentes on? Like nothing at all. If anything, you're closer to Nick Fuentes if you actually equate Israel with the entire international Jewry. He does it all the time. You're closer to him than I am, fundamentally. Anyway, Hype Train is at what level? Did we reach another level or did it end? I wasn't paying attention. Sorry, I gave up on it a little bit, and I think you guys gave up on it too. Never mind, it's level 6 complete on the Hype Train. Level 7 Hype Train is here. At level 10, you already know we're going to be carrying the motherfucking flame. What is this? You want me to play the flamenco version? Sure, I'll play a new version. I'll play the newer version. Yeah, so it's not looking too great for Haley Stevens, and I think it's repugnant that she's doing this. But as you guys know, if there's one thing that I have a lot of experience in, right? It's eating shit. It's falling victim to ridiculous smear campaigns. So, you know, I'm used to it. It is what it is. I can deal with it. I do not wish it on anyone else, though. And I certainly don't wish it on a lot of these wonderful people who have decided to run for office. And what is this?
What's interesting?
Yeah. Saying you support Palestinian freedom isn't just a litmus test of morality. It's a test of how easy it is for lobbyists like AIPAC to sway your opinion. Yes. Yeah. I got the tank build. I have had to withstand, you know, presidential campaign level opposition research for the last decade. So I'm used to it. And I think more socialists and more bold or radical candidates have to get used to it as well, because unfortunately, this is the treacherous nature of this territory. Okay? That's what it is. If you are outside of the confines of the American media class's permissible opinions, if you are advocating or advancing society in a direction that capital owners don't want, they're going to come after you. And if they can't find anything in your background, they're going to invent stuff, right? We saw this with Daria Lisa. They didn't have anything that they can hit her on. So they just started creating controversy off of her tweets. This is how these guys operate. So you have to get ready, and you just have to realize that as long as you got your people, as long as your people have your back, you're good. And you just keep growing that base. You keep growing that base of support. You keep growing that momentum, and you carry the flame every damn day. Level 7 Hype Train, by the way, almost done. Yeah, you call people who were stealing food from children, women, and men during a genocide inbred. How was the controversial behind me? Beyond me? Yeah, I know. It's that one is the dumbest one, but it doesn't matter. Speaking of Abdul El-Syed, the last thing I want to mention here is that Dr. Abdul El-Syed has secured a coveted endorsement from one of my favorite U.S. senators that isn't like a socialist or anything, but I have been obviously very impressed with and have glazed quite a bit, especially in these last 2 years. U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen is a determined fighter for working people, a statesman of the first order, and has shown what it means to lead with your values rather than beholden to corporate interests. Can you imagine if this was our Senate majority leader instead of Chuck Schumer? Can you imagine what kind of party this could be? I know this is nerdy stuff, and I know Senator Van Hollen doesn't go hard enough. I know he's like, people will say, oh, he's just like a regular J Street kind of guy. But think about where we're at currently. Think about what the current ideological makeup of the Democratic Party looks like in the Senate versus what it could look like. And yeah, Senator Chris Van Hollen's great. I'm looking forward to working with Senator Van Hollen in the U.S. Senate. I'm deeply grateful to earn this endorsement. But there's also a bigger endorsement. That's right. Zara Larson. In a comment on Abdul El-Syed's Instagram post, Larson writes, I endorse this message. She's the first pop star to endorse in the Michigan Senate Democratic primary. Van Hollen is the best of the libs. He's not a socialist, but he's unlike the rest of the senators in that he's intelligent and has a heart. He's someone we can work with. Absolutely. Yes. Chris Van Hollen, as far as I have seen, has not actively presented an impediment to progress, okay, and has instead been an ally, regardless of ideological differences at times. So much respect. But yeah, Abdul's cooking, and it's really good. There was also this moment from Haley Stevens, who, unfortunately for Haley, has absolutely zero swag, like no riz whatsoever. And unfortunately for her, Abdul is, he has abundance. He has an abundance of swag. Okay. So let's take a look at what Haley is doing now.
I'm not a millionaire, but last time I checked, you were. Why don't you release those tax returns? Let us see who's paying you and making you rich.
So incredible move to be like Abdul El-Syed. Because this is Michigan, right? My theory of change is socialism will be popular in Michigan, but I don't know if the moniker is as popular as it would be in other states, right? And a big part of the attack ads are probably going to be like, oh, Dr. Abdul El-Syed is a socialist, So now you're just saying he's just rich, and he's like, oh, well, I'm not a socialist. I'm a capitalist. I just don't believe in corporate capitalism or whatever, as he's told me as well. Something that I've also stressed as well, right? He's going to say he's a union guy. He's in favor of unions. That's why he's endorsed by the UAW. And, he's made a little bit of money on the side. Do you think that's going to be bad for Abdul El-Syed? Here's my Dota lineup: Tank, Hasan Piker, ADC, Zoran, Kwame Mamdani, Mage, Daria Liza, Brawler, Abdul El-Syed, Assassin, Chris Rab. That's so dumb.
Are not
yeah.
Hey, Abdul, it's June. Ballots go out. Why haven't you submitted your personal financial disclosures that Michiganders want to know what you're hiding?
releasing their tax returns, and they're delaying the release of their personal financial disclosure. What gives?
It's funny because I want to make fun of her for being a pro-Israel stooge, but because she is so rizless, it comes across as cute. Am I wrong about this? Doesn't she have, she is built like a SNL character, okay? Everything about this output, I don't know why. I find her very funny. It's because she's fat? No, it has nothing to do with that. First of all, she's not fat. Calm down. It's mostly just her voice and her vibes. She is such a dork. Yeah. That's nasty business, chatter. Relax, okay? But she is very dorky, and I don't know why. Despite the fact that she's obviously APAC stooge and a disaster, there's something redeeming about her just being. She went over the hump, okay? There are people who are rizless and a total charisma suck, and very dorky, and it comes across as irredeemable. I think she went over that hump and she got on to the other side of it now, where she's so, like, she is such a super dork. She's such a turbo dork that it's almost like kind of cute and funny.
Two of my opponents are not releasing their tax returns, and they're delaying the release of their personal financial disclosure. What gives?
What?
Look, do you own stock? I'd love to ask them. If so, how much? Did you give paid political speeches last year? If so, how much did you make? Why did you file a request for an extension of your personal financial disclosure? Michiganders deserve transparency from their candidates for elected office, particularly for the U.S. Senate. What are these guys hiding? Two of my opponents are not releasing their tax returns, and they're delaying the release of their personal financial disclosure. What gives? Look, do you own stock?
It's good that you guys ran it back, because what gives is so perfect. Ow. Hello. What gives? Is this the Midwest? Is this like the Midwest nice? Is that what it is? She just kind of sounds like Midwestern Bobby Hill.
I'd love to ask them.
Thank you.
If so, how much? Did you give paid political speeches last year?
Kaya.
If so, how much did you make? Why did you file a request for an extension of your personal financial disclosure? Michiganders deserve transparency.
No, it's just Midwest, it's just Michigan. Yeah, I love her. Like I'm I've grown to like her throughout this process. I'm just like fascinated with the way she sounds and the way she carries herself, and how she constantly says Michigan, Michiganders. I mean, obviously she's a demon. Like, let's be real. Like, here are the not so funny times, right? Like when you look at her AIPAC expenditures so far, $10 million. Okay, that's unacceptable. That's not so cute. Or who can forget? Roll the clip when she went to the AAPI. When she went to the AAPI event and said AIPAC instead of AAPI. That was really funny, but also maybe not great for her, right? Like AIPAC is constantly on her mind. So she maybe thought, you know, she wasn't at the Michigan AAPI summit or event, and instead was at an AIPAC event, right? That's a moment where she's not so cute. And of course, last but not least, perhaps the craziest moment in the Haley Stevens universe is when she did this.
And in the United States Congress, I will continue to fight for the people of Israel. I will continue to fight for Israel's existence. Israel comes to me in my dreams. I see Israel's future, and I know that Israel will continue to exist for the Jewish people.
There's no way that's a Democracy Now! Hat, right? It's got to be a Release the Hostages Now! Hat.
I love you all so very much. Happy Hanukkah. Thank you.
For the record, I think one of the craziest. So obviously she says like Israel came to me in my dreams and stuff. For those of you who don't know, if you don't remember, maybe you weren't as invested in like, you know, random statewide elections happening in Michigan. But back in the day, there was a guy. His name was Andy Levin. It was Andy Levin, right? Now, Andy Levin was an Israel critic. AIPAC did not like that. Andy Levin was a progressive politician. AIPAC did not like that either. They brought in this demon right here to make sure that Andy Levin did not win this seat. Levin. I don't know how you fucking say it. Anyway, what's really interesting about Andy is, for those of you who don't know, Andy's Jewish. So AIPAC got Haley Stevens to compete and defeat Andy Levin, a Jewish critic of Israel. And he wasn't like an anti-Zionist or anything. He was just like He's one of those guys who's just like, I'm critical of what Israel's doing. And this was like a while ago too. So, I don't know what his like current opinion on Israel is, but there are many progressive Jewish legislators who understand the situation with Israel and maybe still have their own personal hangups because of their upbringing or whatever. But like that is enough for AIPAC to be like, you're a real threat. I know you don't click Instagram links, but this is a good take from a non-Hasanabi head. I just watched this earlier. You missed it. For AIPAC, she was much more valuable in the halls of power than a Jewish Democrat is. Because that Jewish Democrat happened to be critical of Israel. Okay? Fuck, how can I go back and watch you react to that? All you got to do is subscribe, baby. Subscribe so you can rewind. Okay, I don't want to defend Haley Stevens, but the AIPAC clip was clipped dishonestly. She was saying AIPAC's, because she was at their event, it's pronounced the same, just with an S. And Andy Levin endorsed Abdul early in this race. Of course he did. This is what you missed out on, by the way, because we couldn't hit that level 10 hype train. Holy fuck, what is this? Jesus Christ. Andy Levin's Twitter is just Abdul now. That's awesome. Yeah, Andy Levin is playing the role of he's doing a Brad Lander moment here. He's having a little bit of a Brad Lander moment. Like I said, I don't know his like the full extent. I just remember him as being like an Israel critical liberal Zionist, like a very Israel critical liberal Zionist. Actually, far before Brad was too. He's a nice guy. Anyway, so that is the Abdul El-Syed saga. That's one of the races that obviously we're very active in. There's another race because we're doing watches right now. Okay, we'll do the W watch. We'll do the hog watch as a consequence of the W watch. But I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on the Abdul El-Syed race as absentee ballots are being sent out today in Michigan, and I'm going to be going back to Michigan at some point to do another big push.